Hey, this is Trissa from Sewing and Things. In this video, we're sewing the back yoke with the patch pockets.
We will start out with our back pieces, our back yoke, and our patch pockets. However, we don't need these right now, so we'll go ahead and put them aside for now. You're going to take your two back pieces, make sure that it's cut on the lower line for the back yoke. And then we're going to grab our yokes. Now with your yoke and your pants right sides together, you're going to make sure that the wider edge of your yoke is going along the curve, and that shorter edge is going against the side. I'm going to go ahead and pin those both in place. Now with both of the back yokes pinned to your shorts, go ahead and sew along this edge with a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, and then we'll come back. With the back yoke sewn to our pants, we are now going to finish the seam allowance. If you are making the flat felled seam, you're going to trim the back pants seam. So go ahead and do that, and then we'll come back. With the seams finished, we are now going to press our yoke up and our seam down. And once this is pressed, we are going to top stitch along the seam line, about 1/8 of an inch from the seam, and then again 1/4 of an inch from the first row of stitching. So go ahead and do that on both of your back pieces, and then we'll come back. Once the top stitching is done, we are going to temporarily put these aside. Now grab your two patch pockets. Now you should have already ironed on your interfacing, but if you haven't done that, go ahead and do that now. And once your interfacing has been ironed on, we are going to press this seam down by 3/8 of an inch, and then again by another 3/8 of an inch. And then we're going to sew close to that bottom fold. So go ahead and do that with both of your patch pockets, and then we'll come back. If you would like to add any additional top stitching to your pocket, you can go ahead and do that now. Press the sides and the bottom of your pocket by 3/8 of an inch all the way around. So go ahead and do that with both of your pocket pieces, and then we'll come back. With your patch pockets pressed to the wrong side by 3/8 of an inch, we're now ready to attach them to our shorts. So if you haven't done so already, we're going to need to mark our placement for our patch pockets on the back of our shorts. So go ahead and use your fabric marking pen or pencil or chalk to go ahead and place those markings if you haven't done so already. With your pocket bag markings on the back of your shorts, we are going to take those pockets and line them up in the middle of those markings. Depending on your preference, I like to line it up against this outside, the edge that's closest to the back curve on both of these, and then you're going to pin those in place. With your patch pockets pinned in place, we are now going to top stitch close to the outside edge along the side and bottom edges of your pocket. And then we're going to sew another row of top stitching inside that top stitching, about 1/4 of an inch in from the first one. So go ahead and sew those on both of your back patch pockets, and then we'll come back. Once your pockets have been sewn on to the back of your pants, we are now going to sew a bar tack along both the top corner edges between your top stitching. If you don't have a bar tack function on your machine, you can use a buttonhole function. If you don't have that option either, you also can do a zigzag stitch with your stitch length and stitch width on the smaller end. Just make sure you use a scrap piece of fabric to do some test stitches before you sew some permanent ones. So go ahead and sew your bar tacks, and then we'll come back. With our back patch pockets successfully sewn on, we are now going to finish the back of our pants. So take your back pieces, right sides together, and we're going to sew along this crotch curve with a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. So go ahead and sew that, and then we'll come back. Now we are going to finish this seam. If you are doing the flat felt seam, make sure you are trimming the left seam allowance when looking at the right side of the shorts, which would be this side. So go ahead and finish your seam, and then we'll come back. Once your seam is finished, we are going to press the seam to the left when you are looking at it, or to the right when looking at the wrong side. And then once that's pressed, we're going to sew 2 rows of top stitching along the curve. The first one at about 1/8 of an inch, and then the second one about 1/4 of an inch from that. So go ahead and press and top stitch, and then we'll come back. If you used water-soluble markings, go ahead and use a squirt bottle and you can spray that and those should remove, or they'll come out with your first wash. Once those 2 rows of top stitching have been sewn on, the back of your shorts are done.
To stay up to date on the latest videos, be sure to subscribe to my channel, or you can check out my blog at sewingandthings.com.